Stevie Wonder. I don't know why he has on glasses, but too cool for school. That's all right. So,
well, we just got done walking outside, so I'm just in my still cool stage.
okay. Happy Black History Month, y'all. I have a few people, before we get started, I need to shout out that I have on some Black businesses. You guys support these businesses, hit them up on their social media because they're great. I've dealt with all of them. So first, I have on a monogram hat by Jarshika. She is in the North Alabama area. Thank you, Jarshika. This hat has lasted me, I think I got this last year, but I love it. It's one of my favorites. I also have on another Black business, Wig by Nee. Thank you, Nisha. I love, this is some of the best quality hair you ever find. Don't look at it too hard. Like you said, we just got done walking. But I love this quality hair, and she does great business and makes great products. Another person that I have on is Nails Nax. Her earrings, they're fabulous. I have the small ones, I have large ones. Y'all make sure you check out her Etsy shop. I love her as well. And then we have to check out the shirt from Target's Black History Month section. I love it. It says stay strong. They have many options for women, kids, and men. So make sure you hit up your local Target and look at the great artists that are featuring their products there. All right, let's jump into the video for today. We are talking about Stevie. You can't hear either. You can't hear. We're talking about estate planning.
Yes, estate planning.
What is that?
So we were talking about it because we just thought it was important to kind of talk about because we know a few people that have lost loved ones or going through different times of transition, and we've seen where people had this stuff set up and how it benefits their family, and also when people don't have these things set up, how it can be a strain and a stressful situation to kind of deal with when you're going through, already a tough time. So we just wanted to kind of give a little bit of background about estate planning. For those that don't know, so I am a licensed attorney in Tennessee, so I'm just gonna kind of share some knowledge that we have. So estate planning, so I'll read the definition. So estate planning is the process of anticipating and arranging during someone's life how they want to manage and dispose of their assets and their estate, once they pass on to glory. So that's in a nutshell. So basically, it's just how you're going to plan. You can set out a plan on how you want things to be handled when you pass.
Thank you, sir. So what are some things that come with estate planning?
Yeah. So people hear the word estate planning and they're like, what is that? And so essentially what it is it's a few legal documents that are comprised that come together to form basically your estate planning. So some of these a lot of people have heard of. So you have your will, which basically, when you pass, you can lay out how you want your assets to be distributed. It's also important if you have kids, you can set up who's going to be legal guardians. Also who you want to carry out your estate. That's what a will. Then you have power of attorney. So there's different types. You have a medical, you have a durable power of attorney. But basically a power of attorney basically gives someone the ability to act on your behalf. So in the event like you're in a car wreck and you can't make medical decisions, you can have a power of attorney on file that says, okay, this person can make the decisions for me. Then you have the durable power of attorney that also helps make financial, business decisions, real estate transactions, whatever it may be. If you're not able to, or you're out of it, or you're out of town, you can also do limited power of attorney where you may just be out of the country and you need somebody to do something. So power of attorneys are really important to have because you just never know when you're needed. Like most of these documents, a lot of times, people are, I can defer that, but it's when you need it the most, a lot of times it's not done. So I always advise people to get it done while you can, because a lot of times when you need it, it's too late, especially if that person has already, they don't have the mental capacity to understand what they're signing, at that point it's kind of too late. So you have the will, you have power attorneys, you have a living will. A living will is similar to a power attorney, but a living will basically you can take it out the hand of the agent, where you can say, hey, when I pass, I don't want to be in the vegetation state. I don't want to be on this. I don't. You kind of lay out what you want to take place at the end of your life, and that kind of takes the pressure off your family to have to decide that as an agent. Then you also have trust, and there's a lot of different trusts, but basically a trust is also another document where sometimes people put assets in a trust, and that way they can avoid probate, going to court, which you have to go through when you do just a will. So that's the kind of high level of certain instruments or legal documents that is comprised of estate planning.
All right. So the common thing is that estate planning is really for like a certain population of people that have a whole lot of assets, many houses, many cars, many businesses. So is that true? Or
No,
what would you say? Because I mean, I used to think like that as well. So explain that.
Yeah, that's a common misconception, where, hey, I don't have anything, so I don't need a will, but or a power attorney. But a power attorney is like very important to have, just so somebody can act on your behalf. It can have to do with not money at all, but like the medical power attorney, who's gonna make those medical decisions for you. A will is important. You may not have anything, but whatever you do have, it could be minimal or whatever, you still want that plan to be set up because it can alleviate, your family fighting or the stressors, or we don't know how she wanted this to take care of, how it be handled. And then also, if you have kids, it's very important for legal guardianship. It has nothing to do with the money aspect, but who will be taking care of your kids if something happens to both of the parents, at the same time. So there's a lot of elements in it that's very important that's outside of like transfer of assets, So I'd say, any adult really should have it, especially.
And that's also asked, is it a certain age?
Yeah, you have to be 18.
Okay.
Any adult should have it, but especially any young adult, once you 22 on, graduated college, or you're in your profession, you're working, even if you didn't go to college, you're working and you have, you're paying your bills and you have responsibilities that you're taking care of, I definitely would, advise, definitely having it. And it could be just a simple and standard will.
So what I hear you saying, it's not all about what you have, but also how your life is going to be handled, whether you're in a vegetation state or a car wreck. So I think the common misconception, like you said, is I got to have all this money and all this stuff. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. So how much would something like this cost me?
Yeah, I mean, it varies, but it's not that expensive. I mean, unless you go to some high type attorney. Now, if you're a millionaire and all that type of stuff, you may have like a high fancy attorney that costs a lot. But usually, just to get a standard will and a power attorney and those documents, it's a couple $100, and that's not high. Especially that couple $100 paying now can save a lot of headache for your family when you do transition or when you need that power attorney. It'd be well worth it, the money you have to save if you had to go to court without having a will. So, I mean, you're looking at a couple $100 to knock out all those documents outside of trust. Trust could be a little bit more expensive, but wills, power attorneys, all those, you can get all that done for just a couple $100.
That's not too bad. And that, like you said, a couple $100 on the front end to save you some time, some trouble, and your family some time and trouble. And like Lamar mentioned, we've seen this happen in our own families and how much easier it is if that document is there. So we do encourage people to get that.
And also when it's not there, like I've experienced it, like, my mom passed over 10 years ago, and so we didn't have that stuff in place. So I've experienced it on both ends, and I've seen it in my profession on both ends. And it's just something that we feel, that's why we're talking about it, that it's important just to kind of talk about it, put on your radar.
And it's not that difficult. I would say we just updated ours recently. And I was one, like Lamar was like, we need to do this. And even my power of attorney, he was like, you need to go get this notarized, like go do this. But it's not that difficult to fill out. What would you say? I've seen some that are very like wordy and all of that, but.
Well, it depends on who you're doing it with. Like, of course I did ours, and have friends that doing. You can have some simple, straightforward wills that are clear and dry. You understand, because some attorneys will make stuff like 20 pages, and you like, what is this talking about? You need a simple, basic will, straightforward to lay out. What you need. It can be very straightforward, because I've always from the sentiment. It should be something that a 5th grader or 6th grader can pick up and read and understand what you want to happen when you die. It shouldn't be very convoluted and hard to understand what you want to be want to be done.
And I have another question for those that maybe they're just getting started. So you mentioned like you have to be 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those that are just getting started, can amendments be made later as they get like more assets or a house or whatnot?
Yeah, so I mean, usually there is language, so you don't have to always update it. Like it says, for all property, at the time of my death. So if you bought property and stuff like that. But if you have no kids at the time and then later you have kids, I'll advise at some point to update it. You can update it, or you can just do a whole new one. But if you have no kids, and to have kids, I'll say update it. But then you don't have to update it kid to kid. Once you have like one kid, usually there's language in there that says all, this will be split to all my kids at the time of death. So as you add, have more kids, you can. But I do know sometimes people, once they know they're done with all their kids, they may do one fresh update at that point and put all their kids and update it, so then they're good from there. So, and to update it, especially with that same attorney, is not a lot to refresh those type of documents. That's very minimal in cost to refresh it and do that.
Awesome. Thank you, Stevie. So are there any last comments that you would like to say? Any more benefits you think you didn't mention, or anything that you would like to let everybody know about the estate plan?
Yeah. Well, I would definitely encourage everyone to get these things prepared. If you have questions, let Taylor know, or reach out to me, let me know. I think it's very important, and I think some of the benefits are it's easier on your family when you transition. It can prevent arguments or fallouts. Also, it's very important if you have kids to set the guardianship, so it's not left up to the state to determine. So it's just got a lot of things in order, so it's easier at that time when those things do happen and those decisions that need to be made. And so it's just one of those things how people plan for their retirement or finances. This is one of those things that a lot of advisors or people kind of mention that this is one of those things that should be part of your planning as well.
All right. Well, thank you, Stevie. We enjoyed having you on the Gray Couch today with More to Life. Thank you.
Oh, that's Ray Charles.
Stevie plays.
Yeah, he did. I know, but I was going to.
Do you know Stevie Wonder song?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Y'all's hairline the same?
Oh, I am about to start going bald.
Just kidding. Make sure you tune back in to More to Life. We thank you all for liking this video, comment on this video, and make sure you share. See you all next time.